Wonderful. All right. Okay. I just want to welcome everyone here tonight. My name is Tracy Dewar, and I am blessed and privileged to be not only head of sales of Youngevity Down Under, but I am a Wallach warrior. I happen to just absolutely love and adore what I do. I just think Youngevity in itself has been an absolute blessing to me, my family, as well as just work-wise. I think whatever we do is just awesome that we can share the Wallach message. And so tonight we have started off our Fighting for Better Health series, and we are here because we are fighting to help people be more knowledgeable about heal thyself. And we talk about heal thyself as in a healthy self. And you pick up the first letter in heal thyself is heal. And heal happens to be, how do you help yourself? How do you educate yourself? How do you be more accountable? And how do you love yourself? So tonight's topic is about women's health. And I just want to first of all say welcome to everyone who's actually watching for the first time, because we are a collective community of people who are just so passionate about against the norm, like against everything that is going on in the world, especially in the last 4 years when people are starting to wake up. People are losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods, as well as loved ones, based on the way society is recognizing what is real. And so we come together here today to just talk about a conversation on how we can take control on healing thyself by better health with Youngevity and our 90 for life. And so as we talk about it, is Dr. Wallach is someone who's been recognized for the past 50 years, not only as a veterinarian, and it's interesting that we're talking about him being a veterinarian, but he's also a naturopath, as well as a pathologist, but as well as an author to over 18 books that also talks about Dead Doctors Don't Lie, about society in the language that goes around, about what we are being told and what we are living our lives by, that what is most important is the fact that there is a different way to live. And we're talking about the way to live is about our 90 for life. And so I'm here to talk about Dr. Wallach is renowned for Dead Doctors Don't Lie. He also is got a what they call a documentary on him that is The Audacity of Health. Go and check him out if you haven't checked him out. And the person who's invited you to this call or this video, check out Dead Doctors Don't Lie and The Audacity of Health. But why we are here is he talks about 90 for life. Our bodies are missing out on the 90 minerals and nutrients, and over 900 different diseases and illnesses and issues are related to these mineral deficiencies. And Dr. Wallach has discovered these. And so he's created what we call our 90 for life, our healthy body pack. And that's why we talk about it here tonight, on by taking these 90 minerals and nutrients, how it can improve and make you feel better, not only live longer, but live healthier. And so there are different topics that we like to expand on. And tonight's topic is around women's health. And so we as collective community are here together to share and celebrate the amazing people that share Dr. Wallach's message. And tonight we got Linda McNair. And Linda, you have been a fan of Dr. Wallach for over 20 years. You came in as a customer, you joined in on an event that we had, and you saw the mission and message that Dr. Wallach has had, and you decided to become one of our distributors. And you are now passionately about sharing not only about women's health, but about women in menopause, our age, as we expand into a new era of our lives, like the best, I don't know about you, but I feel it's the best time of my life. You look amazing. You're wonderful. Tell us a little bit about you and why you're here tonight.
Thanks, Tracy, and hi, everyone. Well, I guess, I met Dr. Wallach, a long time ago, as you said, through my business that I was doing at the time. And, when I listened to him, it made so much sense to me about the vitamins, because at the time I was relatively healthy, but when I had tests done, they were coming back that my vitamin and mineral levels were really low, and I really didn't know why, and the doctors couldn't tell me why. So I sort of, listened to all these CDs and tapes and everything I could find in books. And I eventually sort of, I started taking the 90 for Life and also did the protocol to fix my gut. So got off gluten and all the other things that he talks about. And I had tests done and my vitamins and minerals came back really good. So I've been on the 90 for Life ever since. I take it nearly every single day. Or if I can't take it, I'll substitute. So I've found that absolutely amazing. And I was also lucky enough to go on a private tour with Dr. Wallach many years ago in Hawaii. And it just blew me away because, we were right next to Dr. Wallach, talking with him, having dinner with him, laughing, singing, dancing with him. And he really is, you wonder where he gets this energy from, because he was on the stage for more than 3 hours, and there would be preparation. And he had very few notes and he just kept going and going and going and delivering all this information. So to me, it was, amazing and a privilege to be able to do that. And we also, I also went to the 20-year Youngevity reunion in Dallas with some friends. And that was amazing too, to see all the different speakers and other products that we may not have here in Australia and New Zealand, but it was wonderful. And just to see the enthusiasm of some of the bigger teams. So I really enjoyed that. And since that time, I've always been in health businesses, but I undertook 2 integrative nutritional courses. So integrative means, it's just not the normal nutritional courses. We look at things like vitamins and minerals, because a lot of nutritionists just give vitamins and minerals, the thumbs down and say we don't need it. And I think we, from people I've met, we really do need it, because we don't know what's in our food today. The farming's changed dramatically. The minerals aren't in our soil anymore. So even though we think we might be having good organic food, there is the possibility that we're not getting the vitamins and minerals we think we're getting. So that was a big one for me. And I've become specializing in women's health, especially women over 50 that are going in perimenopause or menopause, because I find they're a group that's been missed. There's not a lot of research on what happens to us. And in society at the moment, it's expected that we're going after menopause, we're just going to get old and go downhill, and we're going to get diseases and we're going to get sick. And we're going to get fat. It's just expected. But, women of today, we're possibly still working. It's the first generation to come through where we could still be working on a full-time stressful job. We could be, looking after grandchildren on a permanent basis. We could be looking after ailing parents as well. And we're also looking after our own, family unit as well. So we're doing all these things and wearing all these hats. And, unfortunately, menopause is great in some ways for women, but we do have to acknowledge that we do decline in our estrogen and progesterone, which are like our youthful hormones. So if we're getting stressed all the time, we've got to look at what we can do to keep strong and keep healthy and keep vibrant. And if we can do that, we can age, well into our older golden years with health and vitality, and still be able to be independent, which is a big thing, and do all the things we love.
Well, first of all, you look amazing. You sound inspiring. And I just want to hear so much more from you, Linda. So I'm really grateful. Appreciate that you're joining us in this call. So we just want to hear a little bit more from you. So tell us about the tips that you have for women today, or even whether we have men or women on this call. They have women that they love and adore. And so if they can give them some words of wisdom, what would you want to recommend to them? So I'm going to share the screen and let's get started on what you have to share about women's health, and especially women in our generation. So just give me one quick sec. Just get to the screen. Okay. So
tell me when you're ready, because I've just got some notes to follow as well. So I don't.
You are a gem. So we adore you. So right here, I got 10 tips to women's health. So you tell me right now, right here, going forward.
Okay. So the first thing I'll just let you know, there's 10 tips to women's health, but there's 2 stages to women's health. There's the reproductive years, which is obviously when you're having babies and pregnancy, and there's the menstrual cycles. And then there's the perimenopause and the postmenopause. So I'm going to be talking about the postmenopausal section or part of a woman's life, because it's a unique stage, as I mentioned before, and we cannot do the same things as reproductive women or men, for that matter. Once we get into menopause, we have to change the way we do things to stay strong and healthy and independent as we age, as I mentioned. So the first tip is maintain a healthy diet. So my most important tip here, and I'll try not to go on too long because I'm very passionate about this, and this could be a whole hour on itself, but I'll try and, go through it and give you some good tips that, you can go back and listen. But for our age group, we need to stop focusing on calorie counting and start focusing on nutrition. So our age group was brought up with, calories are everything. We'd pick up a packet and would go, oh, it's only got 50 calories in, but that one's got 100, so I'll get this one. And so we focused on calories, and we've learned now through science that this is a wrong approach, and we need to be based on nutrition. And, we need to be based on the food that we put in our mouth. And that is one of the most important things, because the food that we put in our mouth is what we become. And it's also, how we can absorb food to make ourselves good. So that's one of the big tips, ladies. So, and gentlemen out there, you've got to start, focusing on nutrition, and we'll get into that in a minute. So this is the first time in history as well that there's so many processed foods, laden with sugar, bad fats, and chemicals. And, 70% of supermarket food cannot be classed as real food. So, you're just fooling yourself if you think things in packets and even in jars and, other things that have got lots and lots of ingredients are real food. They're not. So you need to start looking at the back of the label and not the front. The front is going to confuse you. It's going to make you buy the wrong products because it might have low calorie, low fat, organic, nutritious. We need to turn it over, and we need to look at the nutrition panel to see how many ingredients are in there, the amount of sugars in there, any bad fats in there. And that's what we need to start focusing on. So now the next thing for menopausal women is that we need to cut out all processed carbohydrates. And I'm talking about processed, and I'm sorry to be the bring bad news here, but and these include sugars, and even the so-called healthy ones, like, you might say honey, organic sugar, isn't that healthy? Unfortunately, all sugars turn to sugar in the body, and I'll explain why that's important in a moment. And the big one is fizzy drinks. So a lot of people love their Coke, and they might even think they're having Diet Coke, and that's better because it doesn't have sugar in it. Unfortunately, the artificial sweeteners are still what's called raising a glucose level, and is going to act the same as if we had the sugar. So we really need to eliminate fizzy drinks and only ever have them on very, special occasions, because they have about 12 grams of sugar in one little tin. Now, we also need to start, cut down on starchy food and anything made with flour, because it will turn to sugar in the gut. And I find this is the biggest things when I coach some of my ladies, that they tell me, oh, I've cut out sugar in my coffee and I don't have any sugar. And they're referring to white sugar, but they forget that starchy foods like, rice and pasta and breads and anything made with the flour, basically, and some of your other, starchy vegetables will actually turn to sugar in the gut and act the same as white sugar. So it's very important to remember that. And why is it important that we need to cut down on sugar? Now, I've done a lot of research on this, and all the professors and all the doctors are all coming back with the same thing. The sugar raises our glucose levels and spikes it. So we need to bring that back down in the blood. And so insulin is released. So if you're constantly, 24/7 having sweet foods and sodas and, all these floury carbohydrate foods, your insulin's constantly going. And eventually you become insulin resistant, which means the cell can't sort of take any more in. It's had enough. And this leads to a whole lot of problems. And in women over 50, it's one of the main reasons for that belly fat that accumulates around the top part of the belly. And it's very dangerous fat because it's around the organs. And it can lead to a heap of problems. It messes with our hormones. It can lead to weight gain, as I mentioned, fatigue where you feel tired, cardiovascular diseases, inflammation, type 2 diabetes, and even dementia. You might not think of that, but it has been linked to dementia. And dementia has been given the name of diabetes type 3. So we need to cut all those things out. That's clear. So the next thing is that we need to add in more good fats. Now, ladies if you're 50 and over, we were indoctrinated that you have low fat. Low fat is the best, low fat this, low fat that. We went out and we bought everything low fat. And many of you may still pick up the low fat versions just out of habit. But I have to tell you that we need to train our mindset now to go back to the good fats. So we need to have whole real butter. We need to, be having our full fat cheese and full fat milk and creams. And we need to be including these good fats in our diet and go away from the low fats, because what they do with low fat to make it tasty is to actually add more sugar in it. So, you're getting this sugar. And the thing with fat that people don't realize, fat will not convert to fat in your body. Whereas sugar, carbs, and even if you overeat protein, can actually, and it does actually turn to fat in your body if you can't use up the stores that you have. You also need to add plenty of good proteins as you age. And we tend to maybe not eat enough as we get older. So we need to make sure that with each meal, we're having good quality proteins like grass-fed, beautiful grass-fed organic beef, free-range chicken and eggs, wild-caught salmon, all these beautiful foods that are very high in proteins. We need to be including those and making sure we're getting enough each day, and usually have them with each meal. So I've got a little tip here for you. I always want you to start your meal with a fiber, like a veggie or salad starter, because it's going to slow down the glucose response. So there's a lot to it, and I haven't got time to go through it. But if you just remember, if you've got a plate, or if you've got a salad, eat that first, or eat most of it. You don't have to eat all of it, but eat most of it. And then, because you want to always eat your fiber first, because it puts like a viscous mesh on your gut and it slows everything down. And then you eat your proteins and your fats, and then you eat your carbs. If you do happen to have some rice on your plate, then eat your carbs. Or if you're at an Italian restaurant, then eat your pasta and starches. And if you're going to have any sort of sugar, a dessert, or even fruit, always have it last. And that way you're going to get this nice, you're still going to get a rise in your glucose, but it's going to be a nice rise like this, instead of a big spike that comes up, that comes down fast and makes you hungry again. So you need to aim to eat 3 satisfying meals a day to avoid snacking. And this is, for us women over 50. And you need to consider that fruit is also full of sugar, but it also has fiber. However, as we get older, we have to be a little bit mindful, as I said, of all sugars. So we recommend that you only sort of eat 2 pieces of fruit, and always have your fruit with fat or protein to avoid that glucose spike. Never, ever grab for an apple, say, at 11 o'clock on an empty tummy. If you are hungry and you do want to have an apple, grab a handful, say, of macadamia nuts or nut butter, or or yogurt, and eat that with the fruit, and that will stop the big glucose spike. And never ever consume fruit juices if you can avoid it, because you need to eat the whole fruit. Fruit juices are just as bad, excuse me, as bad as soft drinks. Excuse me, I'm talking too much. I just got to have a drink. Now, the next thing I want to tell you is about breakfast. And people always say, well, what do I eat for breakfast? Isn't breakfast the most important meal of the day? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but what breakfast actually stands for is break the fast. So you've had this big sleep overnight and we want to break the fast, but you want to break it with something that's going to set you up good for the day. So as I mentioned before, you want to set it up with, good protein, full fat and fiber in the form of, either veggies or fruit-like berries. And yogurts and things like that, and not a sugar-laden breakfast like commercial breakfast cereal or jam and toast, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a big glucose spike, and within a couple of hours, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be looking for snacks, and you're going to be looking for sugary snacks. But if you can eat this full fat, big breakfast, like you might have noticed if ever you've had bacon and eggs on a Sunday, and you've got the bacon and nitrate free, that is, the bacon, and you've got the eggs, and you've got, an avocado and maybe some baby spinach and mushrooms and tomatoes, you can usually go through the whole, to lunchtime, well into, late lunch, and then go, oh, I'm a little bit peckish now, I'll have something to eat. So that is a really good way to break your fast. It doesn't matter what time it is. You can aim for 7 o'clock if you've got to go to work, 9 o'clock if you're home, 11 o'clock if you get up late. It doesn't matter what time you have breakfast. Just make sure that you have a breakfast that's full of fiber, fat, and protein, and you're on a good track. So, as I said, we've covered a lot here, but
yeah, that's brilliant, Linda. No, it's gorgeous. I love listening to everything you just had to say, especially because we're talking about the why fast, intermittent fasting at the moment, breaking your fast with high fats and fiber foods, that fight, all that sort of stuff. I think you're right on task, and I just love it. So yourself personally, what time would you start breakfast, and what would you actually be having for breakfast specifically?
Okay, so my breakfast usually varies the time because I try and do at least minimum 12 hours intermittent fasting. If I can go 14 to 16, I will. So if it depends on my day, because as you know, every day is different. So most times I'll go at least 14 hours. So I might have breakfast around 8:30 maybe, something like that. Excuse me. And what I have, and which is good for my body, and I've tested this actually with a glucose monitor, is that I have a very, very high fat breakfast. I have like a basis of a very I suppose a keto sort of it's a cereal. It's not one you can get basically in the supermarket, or I make my own, and I also have like at least 2 tablespoons of nuts in there, a big tablespoon of chia seeds, a tablespoon of hemp seeds, and a tablespoon of golden flax seeds. And sometimes I'll put in some protein powder or collagen powder. So it's very high fat, and I use almond milk, and then I top it with berries. So it'll be strawberries and blueberries and raspberries, whatever's in season at the time. And that will take me right through to at least 2 o'clock. I'm not looking for anything else. So that's what I have. On the weekends I might have bacon and sausages or eggs, or if I can get, there is the market, I can get nitrate-free bacon. I will get it occasionally. Or if I've got any meat left over from the night before, we might have a little bit of that with our eggs. And lots of mushrooms and a big avocado. We'll have half each. So there's a lot of fat, and the fat is the secret. It really keeps you filled up. And I find that everyone that's on here, that if you can follow that eating plan 80% of the time and allow for about 20% for celebrations, because let's face it, you have to be pretty strict to be eating like this, every day of your life. There's going to be times that you're going to go for celebrations or on a holiday or at somebody's house and they've made you a lovely pasta dish and, you don't want to say no because their love and energy's gone into it. So we have to be aware of that as well. But if you eat 80% and leave that 20%, and then as soon as you come back from that event, get back to your eating plan, you're going to, it's going to be really good for your health and wellness. So the bottom line is eat whole, natural foods most of the time. And that's what it boils down to.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so.
And sticking to Dr. Wallach's eliminate the bad foods, the 12 bad foods.
Yes.
And, that's really great advice. You actually make me excited and want to just, get hungry and I want to eat some more. So, so let's pop on to number 2. So let's go on to 2. Like you did some.
Stay hydrated. Yeah. So another good topic I love because I find that, my coaching with older women is that they overestimate the amount of water that they're actually drinking. And I've actually watched my friends and I've watched they've got a drink bottle and they don't drink out of it all day. And I sort of say to them, why aren't you drinking? You haven't drank your water. And they go, oh yeah, I drink water. I go, but you haven't. And then they go, oh, because I don't want to be racing to the toilet all the time. Or, I don't want to be getting up at night. So there's a few things we can do to overcome that. Now, you've got to remember that your body is 60% water and your brain is actually 75% water. And it only takes about 3 days for your organs to start shutting down if you don't have water. So it's really important for the body and it's really important just to keep us functioning. So the things you need to consider with water, unfortunately, is that our water isn't the same quality that it used to be many, many years ago. We've now got chemicals added, like chlorine and fluoride. And unfortunately, now we're getting glyphosate is showing up in the water as well. And that really affects our gut health. So the tip is here, if you can afford it, buy a good quality filter that actually can take out these chemicals. And if you need to know more, reach out to me because I do know some places you can get some ones that actually take out fluoride and they can be added under your sink and things like that. Or, if you've got access to spring water, obviously that's another good choice. And there's often a misconception of how much you should be drinking. So the recommended is always 8 glasses of water, but this is going to change. In winter, you're probably not going to drink 8 glasses of water because it might be made up with some soups or teas. And in summer, you might drink 9 or 10 because it's really, really hot. And as I mentioned, and you might be a really small person or you might be a really tall and bigger person. So it's going to depend on your body. But as soon as you start feeling thirsty, you've become dehydrated and it's probably a bit too late. So you need to not ever feel that way. As I mentioned, older women don't drink enough and if you're on this call and that you can relate to that, you need to start adding up. So I think the best way to do it, well, first of all, when you get up, because the body's been in that fasted state, it's become dehydrated. Drink 2 big glasses if you can, as soon as you get up on rising. Just go out, drink the glasses as fast as you can or sip it, whatever you have to do, because it's going to really hydrate the body and it's going to get everything working. So then, you can obviously go for your walk or do whatever you have to do. But to make sure you're drinking, measure it out however much you want to drink. And fill up drink bottles. I find that's the best way, or a jug to keep on the bench or in the fridge so that and I've even had to do this with my husband because he tells me he drinks water and I know he hasn't because I've watched him. So I've even had to do this with my husband. So when those bottles are gone that you've drank at least, say, 2 litres or 1.5 litres of water a day. And if you're on the tangy tangerine, you can fill that up with a big bottle of, water, and that can be part of your water as well. So you can add all your vitamins and minerals and use one of those drink bottles. My other tip is, don't drink with your meals. And this is a big one because as we age, we actually lose stomach acid. So if you drink with your meals, it's going to dilute the stomach acid even further. So what you want to do is maybe drink 20 minutes before. If you have to, just have a little sip, if you feel that you need it, have a little sip, but try not to drink a great big glass of water, and definitely no soft drinks, as Dr. Wallach would say, with your meals. And so other thing we have to remember with menopause is dehydration can lead to higher body temperatures, which you obviously don't want in, perimenopause and menopause, because you don't want those hot flushes, and it can lead to headaches, and it can lead to your vitamins not being absorbed as well. It can lead to constipation, tiredness, and kidney issues. So there's a lot of things that, this is going to lead to. And I think the biggest tip here is if ever you get a headache, before you reach for the Panadol, drink, one big, at least 500 ml glass of water, and wait 20 minutes and see if the headache goes away. Because as I mentioned, our brain is 75% water, and most of the time we get a headache is because we're dehydrated. So that is one tip you can try.
Linda, great advice. Honestly, everything you've just said, I've experienced. Every single thing you've said, I've actually experienced it and learned my lessons. Absolutely. Like it's good advice. Good advice. Okay, so moving on to number 3.
Physical activity. Okay, so surprising things here that us ladies need to know. So our bodies are meant to move, and I think we all know that. But the best activity is the one that you enjoy. So it's no use me saying, oh, you've got to go and do, aerobics, and you've got to go and do this and join a gym, and you're not going to do it if you don't enjoy it. So, and for women over 50, it's so important to move. But here's the big but. We have to now stop strenuous exercise, because if you have been one of those persons that think, oh, I want to lose a couple of kilos, so you go to the gym or you start running every morning, and you're really, sweating and stressing your body, unfortunately, for reasons we'll disclose a bit later, your body is going into stress mode, and it can actually keep the fat on you.
Amazing, eh? Who would have thought? Like, who would have thought? Like, got girlfriends that are going to the gym, doing these cycling classes and all these things, and I'm like, I actually I know this, but I don't know how to express this to them. Like, I don't express this to them, that they're just spiking their cortisols, and that's just making it worse, as you get older, and they think they got to do more, and it's just movement, not like completely.
Yeah, and it was a hard mindset for me to change as well, because we were brought up, you slog it out if you want to lose weight, like think of The Biggest Loser, what we used to watch them slogging it out on treadmills and everything till they nearly, died on there to lose the weight. Yeah, so it's really important to remember that one, but that doesn't mean you can become a couch potato, sort of. Nope. No, definitely not. But it means that you have to aim for a minimum of 150 minutes of movement, like aerobic movements per week. And this only equates to about 20-25 minutes a day. And it's very doable for most people. It could be taking your dog for a walk. That could be 1 in the morning, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, meeting up with friends and going for a walk, joining a dance group, or, even dancing in front of the telly, joining a yoga class, going back to things you like tennis or golf, where you're actually doing stuff and you're not really even thinking that you're doing any exercise,
I think you gave the right advice. Do what you love. Be focused on the movement and get yourself out there at least 25 to 30 minutes a day.
It's not that hard, really. And I think the best way to try and do this is to fit it into your schedule, because some of you still might be working or very busy, with other things. Try and do it first thing, because once you do it first thing, it's done. It's done, and you've done it. And, you get that. It also gives you a mood lift. You feel, excited that you've done it and you've achieved something. And not only that, if you can get outside first thing, it also regulates our circadian rhythms, by getting that sunshine on us 7 o'clock in the morning, which is going to help with sleep. And as I said, you've done it, you've done a good job. So, and the other little tip here is that this is to do with your glucose rising. is if you can walk or do an activity, it doesn't necessarily have to be walking, after meals within 90 minutes, this is going to keep your glucose level from spiking. So, you've got 90 minutes, you've got a 90-minute window, but it might just mean instead of having dinner, then going and sitting and watching telly or relaxing, maybe take that dog for a walk. Or if you can't go out because it's raining, do when you're cleaning up the kitchen, do it with a little bit of, oomph, and maybe sweep the floor. And or even you can even do something like 30 push-ups on a bench or 30 squats. And I've actually seen this on the glucose monitor. It will bring your glucose level back down to a nice balanced state. So that's really, really important. And it's a great tip. It's a great tip. Because the more we can stop our glucose levels spiking, the more we're keeping inflammation at bay, and the more we're keeping belly fat off our bellies as we get older. So, and the second big important thing here, and this is really important and you can't ignore it, is that we must add in resistance or strength training for our muscle health. It's not maybe, it is a must, unfortunately. So, and you don't have to necessarily go out anywhere and do this. You can do it at home, because the older we get, we lose muscle mass very quickly. And for us women, this is associated with our hormones declining, and we lose it quite quickly. Like I saw mine going quickly, and if you don't step in and do it, you're going to end up very weak and frail. And anytime you can start, anytime, it's not an issue. So strong muscles are going to keep you balanced. It's going to keep you strong, and it's going to keep you independent. Because if you get frail and you can't open jars and you can't, get off the floor if you fall down, you're going to need care. So, we want to be independent into our older lives. We want to be able to, get down on the floor and get back up again. And if we get off balance, we want to be able to rectify ourselves so we don't fall and break our hip. And these are really important things. So, you can... And one of the biggest things that I love is that the more muscle you have, and it doesn't have to be big bulging muscles, but the more muscles you have, it actually burns up more glucose, which means that, it's burning up fat for fuel, which in a way, it means you can actually eat a little bit more food, and it's burning it up. So I love food. So that's one of my incentives to keep up my weight class. And the other one...
Amazing. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, no, keep going. But it's just inspiring. And I agree with you. And just because it's so different than the norm, what society has told us to do as women. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So because I know I'm evolving in my way of going forward in life in my 50s, I feel good about it. And I'm only doing it by intuition, but the more, and obviously by what I'm learning from Doc Wallach, but hearing you looking as gorgeous as you are and focused on women in their 50s, just hearing you say that, it's confirmation, it's inspiring. And I just want to say, there's so many people that need to hear what you're saying.
And ladies, I don't want you to go to a gym and slog it out and feel like you have to slog it out. You can do this at home, and if you're active at home, you're probably already keeping a muscle strong. Like if you're gardening, pulling in and out, carrying potting mix and moving pots, you're already strengthening your muscles, and carry your own grocery bags. Don't call, I used to get cranky at my husband because he said, come and help me with the groceries. But now I look at it, I carry 2 groceries and I look, I've got 2 5-kilo weights I'm carrying in. And I look at it as that, and even your cleaning, you can, if you're vacuuming, put a bit of oomph into it, put the music on and really get going. Or you can join a class, because there are a lot of gyms now that are doing classes for over 50s, and they are doing special weight classes. If you do decide to go to a gym though, and use the weight equipment, I would really recommend that maybe if you can afford it, to maybe hire a personal trainer for, the first 3 weeks, so that they teach you how to do the machines and how to keep increasing the weights as you get better. So that would be money well spent. And, you can even go on places like YouTube for classes. as I said, or join one yourself, or just do it yourself. Look it up in books and get some little weights from, you can get them from places like Kmart. They're not expensive, and learn how to do it. So it doesn't have to be that you've got to go out and do it. And if all else fails, I know, I listen to Dr. Michael Mosley a lot. And, him and his wife, they just get up every morning and they do 30 push-ups, and for us women, it could be on a bench or it could be on our knees, and 30 deep squats. And that's what they do. Apart, they'll do other things, of course, during the day, but that's their strength training. They know they've done it and they've got it over and done with. And the same with me. Like, I've signed up to a really good program, and if anybody wants to know it, obviously, contact me. It's run by physiotherapists, and they have easy ways and hard ways, and they're constantly, increasing the weights. And if you've got any injuries, they also tell you how to deal with it. And their motto is, it's better to do something than nothing. And that's what it is when it comes to movement. So if you do all these things, you're going to get independence, and you're going to feel a whole lot better, and your mental well-being is going to be a whole lot better as well.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Absolutely. Totally on board. Okay. So let's move on to number 4. Tell us more about why it's so important for sleep, because it's kind of a little bit, as we get older, it's less sleep, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, menopausal women can have a lot of hassle with sleep. And, if you aren't, it's just one of those things, because they're not following all the food things that we just went through. I can tell you now, if you follow the food and the exercise, you're going to get through menopause relatively easy. And sleep is everything, really, because how bad do you feel if you don't get a good night's sleep? Like, you're going to make really bad choices, especially with your food. Instead of saying, oh, I've had bad sleep, and sometimes, it's unavoidable. It might be neighbors woke you up, or I had to watch my grandchild just recently, and he decided he wasn't going to sleep, at 3 o'clock in the morning. So the next day my eyeballs were, sort of hanging out, and I sort of thought, oh, I felt so lazy. I didn't even want to make up it was an effort to make up my tangy tangerine in my drink bottle. So that's how bad it can actually make you feel. So but if you follow the steps as we're just talking about, honestly, you will have a much greater sort of transition into menopause. And, a lot of people, you say, well, we need about 6 to 8 hours. But again, this varies. And there's more science being done on it now. But if you can get a really deep sleep, you might only need the 6 to 7 hours. But, if you're laying there, you might need to be in bed for 9, 10 hours if you're getting that, broken sleep. So we want to aim for that deep sleep if we can. So here's some tips for improving your sleep. And you might have heard these before, but they're really worth paying attention to and really following. So, try and go to bed at roughly the same time every night, and for me, I want to sort of be going off to sleep about 10:30. So I usually get into bed about 10 past 10, read for about 20 minutes, and then I'm really tired. And, and if you can, try and get up at the same time. So it may not be the same time every day, but, between the hour of, say, it might be 6 and 7, or, 7 and 8, whatever that is, maybe occasionally sleep in if that's nice, but mainly we want to keep a habit and a routine. So the big one is, and you've probably all heard it and you don't want me to say it, is ditch all electronics and keep them out of the bedroom. If you need to have them in the bedroom because somebody might call, you've got to have them on airplane mode, because the dings and even the light is going to mess with your sleep. It's going to mess with your melatonin, just seeing the light on the screen, and the ding's going to stimulate you and stress you. So it's going to wake you up. So you really need to be very conscious of that. And the other thing is, when it gets to about, daylight savings here, so when it's getting dark in your house, in your area, dim the lights, put on, if you've got, lamps, put the lamps on. And it triggers the brain to sort of say, well, it's slow down time now. It's slowing down, it's coming into night. So it's all triggering the brain. And we need to, obviously keep the bedroom for intimacy and sleeping only. try not to have your home office in your bedroom or anything like that. If you do, maybe get a screen so you can block it off so you don't have to see it. It's really got to be calming. And your bedroom, you should always have your bedroom cool as you can possibly have it, because that triggers us to go into the sleeping pattern as well. And obviously, the darker you can have it and the quieter you can have it. So, you might have to invest in good lockout curtains, and close the windows sometimes if it's really noisy outside.
That's great. That's great advice, Linda, like on itself. And that leads into number 5 about having healthy habits. Like that's part of having healthy habits. And I think sleep habits are very important. For me, naturally, it's not my nature to have healthy habits in that sense, but my superpower is sleep. You know what I mean? But I've had to kind of nurture having good sleeping habits, and I think routine is probably the thing I've had to put, and getting out these electronics out of my bedroom. And exactly what you're saying, I'm now switching off the Wi-Fi, putting on the airplane mode, and I'm having the best sleeps. Like, oh my God, I'm actually having the best sleeps ever. And I'm actually very blessed because I'm not going through menopause, or I'm actually out of it. And like, I've not experienced what most people have. Because I have spent the last, 24 years focused on fighting for better health. And because of it, I have not gone through menopause like my best friends and my girlfriends have.
Yeah. And it does make a big difference. And, where there's a lot more things we could say, but, we're probably running out of time. But I would say, one big thing is try not to eat at least 4 hours before bedtime. Yeah, and that might have been covered. I noticed we had there was another webinar done on gut health, so that might have been covered in that. And getting your walking exercise in the morning is actually going to help you sleep better at night. So if you can do that. So the healthy habits that, obviously sleeping is one of them, but obviously the main ones is avoid smoking. That's a no-brainer these days, and that includes vaping as well. And you've got to limit alcohol, because it is a toxic and it is a poison. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but an occasional glass will not hurt you if you're having a healthy diet. If you're following all the other rules and you have an occasional, drink on a weekend when you're out at a fancy restaurant, it's not going to hurt. Consider all the chemicals you're putting on your skin, and because whatever you put on your skin gets absorbed into your blood. So think about that. And, and the products you're using in the home, are you using bleaches and things like that in the shower? Because you're sniffing them in, and they're actually doing a lot of harm to your body. You need to get lots of vitamin D, so get out in the sunshine, but be sensible. You don't want to burn yourself, but you certainly want to get exposure to vitamin D. And, if you can, get out in nature as much as possible and start walking barefoot on the earth, because when we walk barefoot on the earth, we're actually uptaking these electrons into our body, which are actually an anti-inflammatory. So that's really important. And, they're just some little tips there for your healthy habits. So I hope that's helped there.
Oh, yeah, which leads into good mental health and self-care.
Yes.
They all kind of healthy habits, and that, I think it leads into those.
Mental health and self-care. That's right. So us women, most of us wear many hats, as we mentioned before. We're doing lots of things, and we need to take time out. Women tend to be nurturers, and we tend to put everyone else first, and we leave no time for us, or we say we'll do it later, but later never comes. So at this stage, because of stress, which we'll get into in a minute, we really need to be in taking time for ourselves, even if it's 15 minutes. So, you can incorporate things in your daily life, like, meditation, reading, gardening, doing a hobby, or just something you enjoy. Schedule it in and let everyone know. Like, don't be afraid to say, look, I'm going to, I say to my husband now, look, I'm going to do a meditation. So he knows not to interrupt me. You've got to be, a little bit forceful, because it'll become a habit, and then you'll do it every day. Schedule things in on a regular basis if you can, because you're going to be in a better headspace to help others if you have to. And as you might have heard the other week, there is a big connection between gut health, mood, and your dietary choices. So I won't go into too much in that because it's been covered, but there is that big connection between what you put in your gut and what how it affects your brain. And glucose rising is one of the big factors.
Man, amazing, isn't it? Amazing.
Yeah. We really need to add in those omega-3 fatty acids because they really have been shown to, help with brain health. And look, honestly, if you need professional help, go and get it. Don't put it off.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to lead us into number 8 because like this bone health, like all of us humans have this is an important topic, but for some reason, osteoporosis and bone health is hits us women at an exponential level. So tell us a little bit, give us a couple tips. We're kind of running out of time, but
okay, yes, I'll keep going. As I said, it can be quite.
But if there was something really important about bone health for women,
I think the biggest thing is that we lose our estrogen levels decline as we get into our 50s and into menopause, and this can lead to osteoporosis, which is the thinning of the bones. So it's very important to have your calcium, and if you're lactose intolerant, you will need to supplement, and your vitamin D. And you need to be doing weight-bearing exercises, and that can just be pounding the pavement, walking. That way it's going to keep your bones strong and healthy and your independence for a long life.
Yeah, really good, really good. And then let's lead into number 9, breast health.
Okay, so regular breast examinations as we age. So unfortunately, the risk of breast cancer does rise with age. But the importance is, early detection of breast cancer, because the earlier we get it, the better the outcomes. And a good thing is maybe every first day of every month, just check your breasts, make sure you don't find anything unusual. If you do, obviously go and see your GP. And consider supplements like vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, and antioxidants all help with breast health immensely.
Brilliant. I love it. Antioxidants. Huge fan of that. Okay, number 10. This is what makes us so unique and so
okay.
original.
So I think, as you mentioned earlier, Tracy, embrace menopause as a natural phase of your life, not a thing to dread. Because you might have heard some women go, oh, I've been through, I get hot flushes for 10 years, and I certainly have. And it can be a sense of freedom for a lot of women because we no longer have to deal with periods. And for some, they might have conceived really easy, and they don't have to worry about, taking the pill or even conceiving at a late age. So the biggest thing as we go in, as we mentioned, managing your sugar and processed carb consumption is important. Adding in the good fats, as mentioned before, and following all the previous steps, as we mentioned. We didn't touch on stress, but keeping your stress level is paramount, because we've actually, our progesterone now, our hormone, has dropped. And, if we're stressed all the time, we're in a state of stress. And the easiest way to help with that is just sit down for 5 minutes and do an easy breathing, breathe in for 4, breathe out for 4 or 8, and just slow down, because our body cannot be stressed if we're breathing slowly. Another thing, is a good thing. We might, as I mentioned before, we might want to start doing fasting between meals. It really helps with the benefits of menopause symptoms. So start with the 12 hours. So if you have brekkie if you have brekkie at 7 a.m., and you finish at 7 p.m., you've got, and then you have brekkie at 7 a.m. again, you've got that 12-hour gap there. And all round, you need to be taking an all-round good multivitamin mineral supplement. And you need
which we call tangy tangerine.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, did I say that?
Yes, tangy tangerine, because it's vital. It's vital to be knowing that we actually have these enzymes coming into our body.
Well, let's get into the recommended products, especially for us women, because I have to say I'm a very blessed woman in my 50s. I have not experienced the menopause that my certain friends and family have experienced, because for the last 20 years, I have focused on better health. I have put movement in. I have followed everything that you have said intuitively and guided by good people. And so when I hear these symptoms and like real hardcore experiences some of my girlfriends have gone through, I'm like, it's not natural that I've done this. It's because I followed everything that you've said. I followed all that, and I am very blessed
that's
to do that.
great.
And it comes down to what you're talking about. And 90 for Life has been a huge factor of it for me.
Yeah, probably for me too, because I had very few symptoms at all. You know, and some of these products here are recommended for women, and you might have seen them. They're all recommended for, you know, women's health, and yep. So some of the ones that I love as well is well, this is always my favorite. So you know, the tangy tangerine. Let me just turn it around.
I'm going to stop screen share. You tell us now. Those are the recommended. If somebody wants to go to the YGY Go-To app or go to the person who brought them here, you know, they can get this flyer of these top 10 results with recommended products. But you tell us now, Linda, because you look stunning. You're gorgeous. You would never believe you're in your 50s, and you've just.
I'm actually in my 60s. I'm in my 60s.
Okay, so now I've just dropped in. I've fallen. Actually, can I fall off the chair at the moment? I did not know that. You look gorgeous. See, that's inspiring, and I hope everyone that's listening to this sees this. So tell us what you specifically are on and why. And
well, as I said, I've been having the tangy. I make a bottle, a big drink bottle every single day, and sometimes I add all different things in whatever I've got. I love, you know, and obviously, you know, I do the other things with the EFAs and everything.
So that's your multivitamin.
Yes. The EFAs, of course, is your essential fatty acids, and we probably don't have enough. So you really do have to have a supplement, as far as I'm concerned, and maybe supplement with vitamin D as well. The other one is the enzymes that I love as well.
So tell me why you take the enzymes. Tell the audience why.
Okay. Because as we get older, we lose our stomach acid, and if we're not supplementing with something that puts that stomach acid back in, we can actually not be absorbing our vitamins and minerals. So you could be just wasting your vitamins and minerals. So it's really good to take one of these with your meal, and it helps digest it. It helps you absorb the vitamins and minerals, helps the fat, helps everything flow through and be absorbed properly. So I would recommend taking one you know, with your breakfast and one with your dinner, or your two largest meals. That might be lunch and dinner, or breakfast and dinner. I really recommend that. The other thing I love, because, you know, you might is the, you know, ACT sticks, because, and again, I might mix this in with my tangy. Just say, you know, like on Saturday, we spent a whole day in the garden. And I tell you what, you know, it was hot weather.
Can you show the audience what you're talking about? ACT, on the go, extra energy, and it's loaded with amino acids, and that's what people need to know. Amino acids, protein,
and it's got the B vitamins in as well. You know, and it really gives you a punch of energy, and it's long lasting. So I mix it in with my tangy, and you know, I drink it while I'm working, and it gives me the energy. You know, if ever you've got to walk around town all day, it's amazing. It really helps you, you know, keep energized and not be like, oh God. You know, I've been with younger people, and they're like, oh, can we go now? I'm tired. You know, and here I am, twice their age. I'm going, no, I want to keep walking. So yeah, so it works. It works. So
well, before we wrap this up though, Linda, what would be the final products that you're like a go-to must-have for anybody, women of our age that are struggling or, you know, just wanting to do their best?
Well, they must have the 90 for Life. They must. There's no option, because it covers all bases. And then some packs you can get the selenium, which is really good, because we need the selenium, because, you know, we don't know, it's not in our plants, it's not in our foods anymore. And Australia is very deficient. So some packs will come with selenium, or you can add it in. I personally take the selenium, a few capsules every morning as well. And, you know, I think that's the main one. If nothing else, take that. And then, you know, you can obviously get into other products, and the digestive enzymes, I think they're so important. And yeah, that would be my absolute
That's so super
minimum.
simple. Like, you know, we gave them recommended products to look at. But at the end of the day, if we're doing the 90 and the extra selenium with, like you said, the digestive enzymes, it all falls into place. So it's different, but those are really good advice. Absolutely amazing. Well, you look gorgeous, and we so appreciate your time and attention. And I'm sure we could keep going for the next hour.
Yes, I could.
Respecting everybody, and we should do it because apparently you every Thursday night you do a call every Thursday night. Is that correct? And it's
Yeah, every
everybody
Thursday night I do a call. We have a website. I don't know if you want me to put it in here or how we can share that.
Share it in the chat, sweetheart. But people can reach out to you. They just have to look up Linda McNair, and you're there to support anybody who has challenges in their women 50 plus with menopause or more. And you know, we're a family. We're a Youngevity family. And you've been here for over 20 years, and somebody that comes to you from another Youngevity family member, you're going to support them, but you're always going to put them back to the right person, but you know how to give them the right advice, and they can go and join those calls and bring people there, and you'll look after them and make sure.
Well, the brilliant thing about our call is, you know, we talk a bit more about, obviously, you know, women's health, but we also offer a 45-minute free call with us personally. There, I've got another partner who, you know, I coach with. So you get the opportunity to have a 45-minute call with us, and free, no charge, nothing. So, you know, we can help you further and advise you on things. And we don't try and, as I said, we don't try and sell you things if you, there's no point. You know, we're at an age where we just want to help women. You know, we realize there's a gap. We want to help women. If we can, we can. If they want to come on board coaching with us, well, that's fine. But we certainly don't push anything on anyone.
Well, Linda, you're an inspiration. We love what you're doing, and, you know, keep shining and sharing. And thank you so much. And before we wrap this up, we're over the time, but is there anybody out there that wants to just share what they've gotten out of here, or any questions they might have for Linda? Linda, it was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Tracy.
And I just sit here thinking, oh yes, I'm doing that. And it's like, oh, I could do that. So, you know, I appreciate that. And
you're doing really, really well. Really well.
Well, I find that the more I hang out with other friends or women my age and listen to their struggles and where they're at in life, I just like, wow, I'm just happy. And I thank Doc Wallach, and I thank the Youngevity circle that I have for being as blessed that I am. And you know, you're an inspiration, Linda.
And that's one of the reasons why we decided to specialize in women's health, because over 50, because I was the same. You know, some of my friends were saying, you know, they had hot flushes for 10 years, you know, and the fans coming out all the time. And, you know, and they struggled with belly fat, and they thought they were doing all the right things. And, you know, it's a neglected area, and that's why we wanted to go in that area.
For sure. Well, you're doing a good thing. Keep up the great work. And I think everybody is stunned and just gobsmacked with the great job you're doing. So before we go, was there anybody that wanted to just pop on and share or say anything before we say goodbye?
No.
Yeah, I think they're stunned, Linda.
Okay.
You did a great job. Thank you so much. And we will see you in Sydney in March. Yes. I look forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right, gorgeous. You have a good night. And thanks to everybody who's joined in. Please share.
Bye, everyone.
Talk soon. Ciao, Bella.
Bye.
Bye-bye.